Check it out. I just bought this, and I promised the owner I'd do YouTube videos on it. So here's the first one. It's a 901 Civic hatchback. The previous owner had it repainted, so not a stock color. And it's got a B18B swap, oil lowers, etc. Basically, I'm buying this because I'm trying to have better gas mileage. Basically, something with better gas mileage. My Accord's doing okay. It does about, depending on how I drive it, either from like as low as 26 all the way up to like, I think I got 32 at once. So I'm hoping to be able to eke out better gas mileage than that from this. And right now my commute's 120 miles each day, but it's like 95% freeway at like 70 to 80 miles per hour the whole way. So aero does really come into play, so I'm probably going to do some aero mods on this, try to improve the aero. The car is mostly complete, it's not stripped out or anything, which is nice. It's got Integra front seats, like aftermarket carpet, black, and then I believe he told me most of this is just repainted. Yeah, you can see here it's been repainted black. I do actually like the black, but some of this I'll have to redo. Nice simple car, not a lot of stuff on it to go wrong, which is great for daily. I'm not familiar with Civics, but he said this was like I think he said there's a dash and console out of a CRX. I honestly don't know. It does have a hydro conversion for the clutch, which is normally cable, but it is kind of heavy. And I was talking to him about maybe building my own setup, somehow maybe using some spare 3rd gen Prelude pedals. I'll have to see about that, but it's not, since I don't need to clutch too much while I'm driving, at least right now, I could live with it, but I would like to improve that. So there aren't too many major problems with it, mostly just little things. Only the biggest thing right now is apparently he'd slid it slightly into a curb in the winter. If you look at this wheel, it's kind of set back, so the caster is wrong on just the front right, so I'll get on the lift at some point here and see what's going to take to fix that. But it still drives fine as it is. And also in that incident, this wheel got curbed pretty bad. But really the whole gas mileage thing is just a great excuse to buy another cool old school Honda. Yeah, so first mods, of course, gotta keep modding it. Got new pedal covers. Current ones are kind of worn, but they're not terrible. I like these, are cheap. It doesn't have a data pedal right now, so I want to add that. Got a used one. And I'm going to tint the windows 25%. Alright, so these should be easy. The dead pedal, I don't know. There's no holes in the carpet right now. And it is an aftermarket carpet, so I got to pull it back and see if there's actually threaded holes back there. Hopefully it goes easy. So there's no holes, so this never had a dead pedal to begin with. But there are flat areas. I hold up the pedal and see it should pretty much go there. So I'll just mark the areas, drill them out, and use nut certs. There we go. Dead pedal fit perfect, basically. Worked with the aftermarket carpet. It'll be much nicer to drive like this because I really don't like cars that are missing the dead pedal. While I was up under the dash, I noticed the brake pedal switch stoppers basically coming apart, or came apart. Luckily I got some of these kits hanging around. I'm gonna install that. Do the same thing on the clutch pedal because I see that one has a 10mm bolt in place of one of these stoppers. The problem with that is eventually it'll start squeaking. Also, it has new hatch struts, which the current ones are basically blown. Yeah, so on the rear struts, the ball didn't want to pop out. I'm not sure they're actually made to pop out on the OE ones, so I had to cut it open after I got it out. Seems to work fine on the new ones. Alright, I got all the sockets out. New struts work great. Alright, here's a thing I've seen on a few cars in the past. So I've got the pedal depressor. I've got the gas pedal held all the way down to the carpet. It's not on the floor mat either, it's all the way down to the carpet. So it's basically full throttle as you'd be driving. But if you come into the engine bay, the throttle isn't actually all the way open. That's maybe, I don't know, 75% open. So there's a few ways to fix it. What I did on, I think I'm going to try it this time. What I did on a Civic a long time ago that had the same problem is I actually just basically bent the gas pedal slightly up. So when you push it all the way in the car, just like you normally would, you get the full throttle at the throttle body. So I'm going to try that on this one. Yeah, so I just pulled up on the pedal a little bit, bent it slightly. And you do have to be careful on the Civics because it's all basically more flimsy in here. So I just kind of looked up in there, made sure I wasn't twisting the whole assembly. But I bent this rod basically slightly up. Now, throttle's fully open. Oh yeah, you can't have the same problem if your adjustment here is way off and it's super, you get tons of slack here, but this car is fine. Well, it looks pretty good under here. Nothing loose or missing. The exhaust is kind of raspy, and I noticed there's a test pipe instead of a cat, so I'm going to put a cat back in it. I'll quieten it down a little bit. He also supplied, the last guy, owner, also supplied a alternate muffler. It's supposed to be quieter than this one, but I think I'm going to put the cat in first, see what it sounds like. The only thing I've noticed is, looks like the header tube's been rubbing here a little bit. It's very tight. So I'll probably grind that away a little bit in case it rattles or something. As far as the caster problem, I don't see anything bent under here. Nothing obvious anyways. But the owner did supply an alignment sheet, and on this side it's positive 3.1 caster, and this side's like positive 1.2. So it is pretty far off on this side, so something's up. It's got radius rods, but it's not like a 3rd gen Prelude. You can't adjust them. Alright, I think I got lucky in a way. I noticed the thread sticking through the nut on the right side of the car was less than on the left side. So first thing I did is I tightened the nut down so I could have the same amount, and that seems to have gotten me about roughly a 1/4 inch closer. And what I've been doing is I've been measuring from this flat part right here to the center of this bolt on each side. And yeah, this side basically shortened roughly a 1/4 inch, and it's just slightly longer than that side. So I think if I checked the caster right now, it'd be much closer. But probably still not enough on this side. I've also tried loosening these bolts and then using the ratchet strap to pull this forward, then tightening the bolts down. I'm not sure that really got me much. I noticed the rack bushings are they're coming apart, so I'm going to order new rack bushings, put those in, and then set the car down, and then basically just check the caster, see what it looks like. And according to the Energy Suspension website, these are actually only for the power steering rack, and I have a manual. However, apparently they don't know what they're actually for, because there's multiple threads where people say they use these on the manual rack and these don't fit the power steering rack. So I'm going to try to fit them and just see what happens. Yeah, here's the old one. You can see it's kind of cracking. I mean, this part's still solid, so it wasn't unsafe or anything. But as far as the bushings go, it looks like they're the right ones. So here's one of the new ones. Goes right on there. And the other side, inner diameter is the same. You can see, especially when these bushings get soaked with oil, like this has been in the past, they get super soft. And this one's like pretty solid. Yeah. So to get this out, I've got the rack lowered a little bit, and I just got a pry bar kind of jammed up above it to hold it in place, and I hammered it from below with the brass punch because they're in there pretty tight. So I just got to pry this bottom part of the bushing out and do the same for that one and put the new ones in. Alright, there they are. Everything's nice and solid. The old, you can see the stuff on the old bushings. It's actually oxidation from the aluminum. They're in there so long. So before I put those new ones in, I cleaned it up a little bit with this in the bores. And so, yeah, now at this point, I can confirm that that part number fits the manual racks, not power steering. You got rusty calipers like this, but you're too lazy to paint them, like I am right now. The next best thing I found is just to put some rust converter on it. I'll turn them like a chalky black color. Looks a lot better than rust anyways. It lasts a good while. And I also got some braided lines coming, because I don't... These days I just replace lines right away when I buy a car. They're 30 years old. Alright, I'm going to start attempting the tint. I'm not really a tinter, but I've done it before. So the rear window is normally going to be the hardest, so I'm going to start on this one and see how many times I have to redo the shrinking until I get it right. I ran out of camera battery there, but this is my third attempt. I think this one's the one that's going in. Looks pretty good. I just need to cut it out. There it is. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the side windows. Alright, I'm done with the rear windows. Alright, I think I'll tackle the front windows tomorrow. Now I'm going to do some easy mods. Got center caps and some front signals. If you want to see what that rust converter did overnight on the caliper, there it is. Pretty much just black. Turns a little bit chalky. Like, yeah, a little bit chalky over time. Yeah, the car already has clears here, so I'm thinking, and one of these is cracked. So I'm thinking these will match better. See how it looks. Yeah, I think I like how that matches better. Alright, finally finished the tint. Turned out okay. So I got a few more mods that came in. I'm going to try some 15mm spacers to try to push these stock wheels out just slightly. We'll see. And I got front lip. And I tried to find some OE rear mud flaps, but they're very expensive. So for now anyways, to stop this kind of stuff, I'm just going to install some generic universal ones, trim them to fit. There's the mud flap. Got to drill a few new holes here, and then those two are just factory holes. Here's what the mud flaps look like. Should help, but I'll keep looking for OE ones that aren't too expensive. So the front lip fits okay on the front. There's small little gaps here and there. But it starts to get really bad over here. And it is centered. It's just really long on this side for some reason. So I'm gonna cut it off here, do some trimming in there to try to get it sit more flush against the bumper. There's a good gap right here, which kind of goes away if you twist it. So it makes me wonder if the mold is wrong. This is also an aftermarket bumper, so it could just be the bumper's out of spec here. I don't know, but I'm gonna, once I get that cut, I'm gonna try to either heat this up and twist it or re-secure it somehow underneath. Maybe I'll close up that gap a little bit. But on this side, it's better, but still sticking out a little bit, so I'll cut it off here as well, and then try to readjust it to get this gap fixed. Alright, this is it after some trimming and adjustment. Looks okay. Still doesn't fit perfectly against the bumper. There's a gap. Over here is a little bit worse. But it actually molds pretty easy with the heat gun, but my heat gun broke, so it's gonna live like this for now. I'll probably get a different lip in the future, so I probably won't bother with it anymore. Looks okay for the distance anyways. Yeah, these old Hondas don't look right if they don't have some kind of lip. And here's the 15mm spacers with those Tiger mesh wheels. It's pretty flush. The only thing is now that they're pushed out, it almost makes it seem like the wheel gap is greater. So I think I'm going to lower the car just a little bit more. Alright, I just adjusted the ride height a little bit. It wasn't so much that the whole car was too high. It's actually just this side. The other side is pretty much spot on. So I basically evened out the whole car. Not too low. New arrival. Converter. There's the test pipe and the cat. Pretty simple, just gotta cut it. Put the cat in place. Not too hard. Hopefully that quiets it down. Another fix I need to do is the wipers are very loose because I took this all apart. It's because of bushing right down here where it connects to the motor. It's broken, but it's still on the end of the ball stud, so this doesn't actually pop off. So they did work, they're just super sloppy. So I got some new doorman bushings coming. See if I can get them to fit. Alright, here's a wiper arm. You can see the stock bushing on this side's fine. So on this side, I've used these on our Prelude before. The only problem is they're kind of loose on the ball. So this is, I'm pretty sure these will work. Now there's also this, which has a few different types in it. I'm going to try some of these, see if these fit better. We'll see how it goes. Alright, I just tested both these on the wiper arm ball stud, and this one was kind of loose. This one felt pretty tight, so I'm going to go with this because this also fit into here easier. Alright, so how I got it in is on this side of the arm I had a socket, then I held this on the other side and I used a bench vise to kind of push it in. So I just tested on the arm again. It feels pretty good, but there is a little bit of play here. I can use some wire to fix that. We'll see. All right, so I just used some safety wire for that side. Keep it nice and tight in there. Looks like it's working good. If I can get that. Four parts came in. New brake lines and the fluid. And right now the pedal, it sinks pretty far. And the previous owner said he never touched these rear drum brakes, so I'm pretty sure it's the adjustment on the rear drums. So I'll try to fix that at the same time. Alright, so I just took it for a test drive, and adjusting the rear drums did help a little bit with the brake pedal, just a tiny amount. It really helped with the e-brake, but the pedal still sinks pretty far before it really bites, or there's a lot of travel. It's not like there's air in the system or anything, but I think the problem is this master cylinder is sized for the original brakes that came on this car. I don't know if I mentioned it, the previous owner replaced his knuckles and brakes with ones from 1993 Integra. So the front calipers are bigger than they should be. And there's a few master cylinders that will fit on here, and one of them just happens to be a 3rd gen Prelude one. The only problem is I think this is going to be too big for that. This is a 3rd gen Prelude has a 15/16 master, and the one that's on the car is like a, there's no marking on it, but I think it's like a 5/8 or maybe a 3/4. Probably the better size would be like a 7/8, considering I still have the drums in the rear. But anyways, this came off a parts car, so it's free. So I'm gonna try this and just see how it does. All right, I test drove it again, and the brakes are much better now. More fixes. While I was doing the alignment, I noticed the right side of the rack had a little bit of play, so I'm replacing the rack end bushing. There's the old one I just pried out. There's a new one. Hopefully that solves it. Alright, I got it in. Now the rack doesn't flop around anymore on this side. So I'm just gonna re-grease the rack and we'll be done. Alright, so this is a knob I want to use in this car, and this was in my black Prelude with the H22 swap, and ever since I got it, the red in here is always messed up, but I just lived with it. Now they got a blue car, thinking about doing some blue accents in the interior, so I'm going to try to get this red out with some maybe acetone or something, and lay some blue enamel in there and try to make it look pretty nice. See how it turns out. Actually, let me see if some brake cleaner will work first. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's coming right off. Totally gone. And the brake cleaner degreases it too, so it's ready for the paint. So I think I'm going to take a fine tip brush and lay it in there as best as I can, but it's not going to be perfect. After it's in there, I'm going to have to kind of wipe the top off without digging into these grooves. I think that'll leave just a blue in there. We'll see. So I'm just using some model paint, enamel. See some fibers down in those grooves, and try to get those out first. Went over it with the microfiber, seemed to picked up all the little pieces of lint in there. Yeah, this brush isn't fine enough to really get in the groove. New plan, I'm just gonna build it up on top of the grooves, then try to wipe it off, see what happens. I think just my glove is gonna be the best way to wipe this off. So I'm just kind of passing over the surface, not pushing down very hard. Okay, now it's starting to feel a little bit tacky. Try some light brake cleaner. Oh yeah. Okay, just very lightly. Looks not bad. There it is. Let it dry overnight indoors and then should be ready to install. Well, aside from the shift knob, got more interior mods. Got a spoon wide angle mirror, wide view mirror, personal steering wheel, the blue stitching, some eBay shift boot blue stitching, and for the wheel, for now anyways, I've got an Energy short hub with a spacer. I actually ordered the Nardi hub. It's on like multiple month back order, so this will do for now. But I prefer the Nardi hub because it's made to be collapsible in an accident, and this isn't. This is just solid. I'm gonna install all that now. There's this spoon mirror. Got the shift boot and that knob. Steering wheel's installed. The only thing I don't like is I had to dig into my stash to really get this installed right now. I got the Energy short hub, 2 1/2-inch spacers, and then an Energy quick disconnect. Because even with just the spacers, the distance here is too tight. So, I really hope that Nardi hub doesn't take too long to get here, but it'll work for now. Still working on more little things on the car, but this video's getting too long at this point, so I'll continue in the next one.